Hi guys, Jason here from Trojan Photography, and today we're going to do a comparison review. So we're looking at lens covers, and I have right here in the orangey oak camo the outdoor photography gear lens cover, and over here in the digital camo we've got the Lenscoat one. So I've had both these products for over a year now. I've had the Lenscoat one for a little bit longer, about 4 or 5 months, maybe longer, but I've used both very extensively, and I feel I can now give you a really good comparison on the two and the pros and cons of each one, and from that I'll give my opinion on which one I think's better, and from this you can also work out what you feel is going to be best for you. So before I begin, I'd like to just say I've got an unboxing and a review on both products individually. I sort of talk about in the Lenscoat one why you might want a product like this, how it might help you, sort of all that stuff. And I sort of go through the pros and cons of each one individually. So I'll have the links in the description below, you can check them out. I also have much more close-up photos of each one individually so you can sort of see the quality, although we will be covering that, but it's just a bit more in depth in some of those. So let's get started with this comparison. So we'll start with the outdoor photography gear one. So as I said, it's in the oak camo. It's on my Sigma 150 to 500, whereas this one, the Lenscoat one, is on the Sigma 70-200. So both of them come in a variety of different lenses: Canon, Nikon, Sigma, Tamron, a variety of different brands they cover and lenses they cover, which is great. Now we'll first off talk about the style of them. So Lenscoat has sort of a greater range. They cover more lenses, they also have more styles. They generally have 4 to 6 different styles, so patterns on the front of them, whereas the outdoor photography gear one has 2 to 3. They have sometimes 4 with their ones. So when I got this one, there was only about 2 or 3 to choose from, as opposed to when I got the Lenscoat one, I had 6, and every single one of the lenses Lenscoat has one for, they have all 6 of those. Whereas the outdoor photography gear one, they might have one pattern in one of them, but in a different lens they might not have it in that pattern, and that's just the way it is. So first of all, with the style, with the actual covers of them, the patterns, Lenscoat definitely has a greater variety, and they also cover more lenses, so that's definitely a tick for the Lenscoat. So let's talk about the build, the make of them, how they go together. So I'll talk about the Lenscoat first. So Lenscoat has beautiful close-on neoprene. Both of them have close-on neoprene, so that's going to stop water from penetrating in. It's going to stop water from sitting inside it, so both of them have that. So you're not going to have moisture sitting on the lens, it will drip off generally. The outside fabric will take a little bit in, but the neoprene is going to stop it from soaking in and sitting on the lens, or potentially penetrating into the lens a bit more. So both of them have that. Now with the Lenscoat, I've got the digital camo on here. On the other side, you just have the closed-on neoprene on it, and you can see up here in that little video I'm running, you can see it up close what I'm talking about. It's got closed-on neoprene, which is quite a grippy material. So when it's on there, it really is on, and it's not sliding off. The material stays on. It does make it a little bit harder to initially fit it onto the lens, and if you ever take it on and put it back on, you'll find it is a little bit tricky. But when you're out in the field and when you're shooting and when you grab it out of your bag, it stays on, and it's really good for that. So in doing that though, it's only got one side, so I can only ever display the digital camo. Realistically, you could flip it around, I guess, but that's not the way it goes. It's wrong. So it's just got one side, but it does it well and it stays on. So with the outdoor photography gear one, same close-on neoprene as I said initially. The difference with this is it is double-sided, so I can slide it off, and you saw how fast and easy that was to slide off. Now that's not always a great thing, but the other side is black. All of their ones are black in reverse, so can put on reverse and that still works, and that's still fine. So it's the same type of fabric on both sides, so you can reverse it, which is great. So if I didn't want to have this color and I just wanted it in black, you can reverse it like I just did then. I'm putting it back now. The issue with that, although it's great and it's really cool to have a double-sided thing, I'm never really going to want in reverse. I'm not using this for camouflage out in the wild or anything. I'm using it to protect my lens from heat, to protect my hands from the heat a metal lens builds up, or the cold when you're out early morning sunrise or something, and also to stop it from bumps and knocks and all that, and because it looks really cool. So I'm not using it for that, so I'm not really going to reverse it, but as you just saw, it slides off really easily. Now the rest of these segments sit quite well, and the focus ring and the zoom ring, which has a rubberized texture on the lens barrel, they hold really well, so you can zoom really well. Not a problem at all with that, it doesn't slip. But anything that doesn't have a function like that, like the lens hood, we take it off, and down the barrel, this all slides. Which down here is not a problem because you've got the collar around there, but on the lens hood, when it's in your bag, and every time this happens, if I slide it into my bag, it goes straight down, it goes off. Then I've got to fiddle around and pull it back up. If you're pulling it out of your bag and it's on already, it can do the exact opposite and it'll slide straight off. So that is a very big downfall with the design of having a double-sided. You get the double-sided, you get 2 for 1 sort of thing, but it does slide off really easily, which can be quite annoying. So another point I want to point out with this, with the Sigma 150-500 and a couple of other lenses I've noticed that Lenscoat covers, they don't have all the rings covered. So if I got a cover for this lens in Lenscoat, where the focus ring and the zoom ring are, they don't have bands, so it's just fully exposed the lens. So you just have a black stripe where the actual lens is, which is very silly and very weird. And although I contacted them a couple times, no one could give me a right answer as to why they only half cover a lens. The other thing is with both of them, especially because this lens actually zooms out, you can see it exposed there. Neither of them come in the original kit with something to cover that, but they both come with an added accessory if you want to pay the extra $15–20 for it, that will cover over that and expands and contracts as you zoom in and out, which is a cool option, but for $15–20 you might not want to. So let's go further into the construction of this. So we've already got the outdoor photography gear one here, so we'll talk about that first. So as I said, it is closed cell neoprene, both of them are. Now this has amazing sewing on the side, as you can see up here in that little video running. Really nice sewing. As I said, I've used it for about a year now, and I have used it a lot at every type of event I usually go to. This lens comes out, both of them do. You can also see on the edge of each individual band there is stitching, which is great. It is amazing quality stitching and it is held really well. It just sort of holds the lens, holds it all in place. It looks nice and it works really well, and I'll show you why you'd like that. So we'll go over to the Lenscoat one. Now with this, as you can see up here with the video, there is no stitching around the side. And you can see in some of these photos how it is fraying around the edge. You can see the edge of the neoprene, then you can see the fabric on the front, and it is starting to fray. Now I look after my gear really well, and while I said you'd usually get this for bumps and knocks and stuff, I don't intentionally go out there knocking the lens or something. I'm talking like into the bag, out of the bag and stuff. That's as much as rough as it gets with these things. But you can also see on this side I've had to put some tape. And I do have a video of how to do this because I was really annoyed when I contacted Lenscoat about it, saying your product's fraying, and you can check out the video below, and I've got really good close-ups of it and stuff as I was fixing this up, showing you how to do it. I did contact him and I'm like, it's fraying, I've looked after it, it's just literally from going into the bag it gets rubbed up against. And they were happy to replace it for a price, but I'm not going to pay more for something that costs this much when it's just getting normal wear and tear usage. It shouldn't do that. So with the outdoor photography gear one, that stitching on the side, that stops it from fraying, which is great, and I couldn't love it more so for that. it works wonders on it and it doesn't fray, which is great. And as you can see with this lens, I've had it for about a year to a year and a half now, as I said before, and you can see it's sort of starting to fray a bit, and I'll probably take off some of these bits, go across it with a lighter and just singe in those little fray bits, but realistically for the price points it shouldn't really do that. So next point we'll talk about is the fit. How well does it fit the lens? And I know I've only got two, one from each brand, but as a general rule they all sort of work the same. The brand's going to make up a template and cut them all, so they make the templates the same way for each one. So Lenscoat one is amazing. It is amazingly great fit. Neoprene's slightly stretchy and they've used that to their advantage. It fits on really snug, and when it's on, it's on. Where the holes are, where the ports are, they've got nice plastic, and the plastic's recessed down into this neoprene, and you can see the dial perfectly. The little buttons on the side, the triggers on the side for autofocus, manual focus, stabilization, all that. Really easy to use through this. I love it. It stays in position so you can just slide it across and it's not hard. So that works really well, and I find I'd never have to really go and adjust it all. Every band's a great size, it's well measured, it's well cut, and it just fits really well. So that's great with that fit. Now with the outdoor photography gear one, it still fits great. It fits nice and snug. They've used the stretchiness of it to fit around, but there are some points where it feels like their design could have dealt with a bit of tweaking. Now the top end's not too bad. Down the bottom where we've got the collar and stuff, you can see the port, and you can see it in this close-up video as well. It doesn't really cover over the autofocus, manual focus and stabilization switches as well, and it just becomes a little bit harder to use. Not so hard that I can't use it, or not so hard I always have to pull it up, but sometimes I do have to pull it over to switch them. And then the focus ring on the back, it's got a port for it, and now I know you don't look at the focus distance meters, but it's there and it'd be nice to be able to still see it. So that doesn't really cover it too well in that. The other thing is with this model, and I don't know about any other models, but this Sigma has a lock, a zoom lock. So because it's such a big lens, it suffers from zoom creep. So you got to lock it in. They haven't made a port for it. Now I understand the band around that area is really small and thin, but I feel like there could have been, or there should have been, some sort of idea about how to do that. So every time I have to lock or unlock, you've either got to really hopefully feel through that neoprene, or you pull the neoprene back and you flick it and then you can zoom. So that is a downfall. So for the snugness and how well it's shaped and designed around it, Lenscoat definitely has the edge on that. So the next point, I guess, would be price. Now price is a huge thing, and all photographers always talk about price because it's such an expensive thing to be in. Now as a whole, and I've looked through a couple of different lenses and compared the prices, the Lenscoat is generally 10 to 20 to maybe sometimes $30 more expensive than the outdoor photography gear one. So $10 to $30 roughly for Lenscoat more than the outdoor photography gear one. And so what are you getting for that? You're getting a little bit more snugness, a little bit nicer fit, but not much. You're only getting one side, whereas you get two sides on this, but it's a huge difference really. So this costs about $90 to cover this lens, and if I was to cover this lens with the outdoor photography gear one, it costs about $70, around that. So there is quite a big price range, and I know for neoprene, and I did suggest in a couple of my other videos about these products that you probably could go out if you're good at sewing or half decent at sewing and buy some neoprene and do it yourself for $20, $30 really. It wouldn't be that hard, just a bit of time and effort. But they are quite expensive products, but it's gonna protect your lens, it's gonna help you out. If you're out in a cold morning and you don't want your fingers freezing from touching the metal lens, these things work great for that. Bumps, knocks, heat. There's a variety of different reasons why you might get them. So just a quick recap on that. I would recommend the outdoor photography gear one. I did buy it after the Lenscoat one, just because I wanted to see the differences, and I've grown to really love the outdoor photography gear one. Not to say I don't like the Lenscoat one, and if you've got one, it's awesome and it still works great and amazingly, but I feel saving $10 to $30 to get the outdoor photography gear one, it's got the two sides. If you want it, you might not, who cares? It still fits really well, it works really well. I can use all the functions on it without a problem still. There's just that minor one, but that's only for this lens. No other lenses have that real zoom lock thing, so that's not an issue. So for my money, I'd definitely go the outdoor photography gear one over the Lenscoat one. So guys, that's my comparison. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, there are links in the description below for a review on each one of these lenses and unboxing of each one of the lenses individually, so you can check out a bit more about the details. If you've got any other questions about these products, please leave a comment in the description below. If you want to know anything else about them, please tell me. And if you've got either one of the products or both of them and you've got a different opinion on it, please leave it in the comment below. I'm happy to have a discussion about it and just let everyone know what you think about it as well. It'd be great. So you can also find me on my website and on Facebook. Links are in the description below, guys. Give us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel, with many more tutorials and unboxings and other reviews coming out soon. Thanks, guys.